This document that we're now looking at is a work and or life experience template. It forms part of the RPL kit. And I'm just going to read the first paragraph there. If you have a resume, please submit it to Watto Training. If not, you can either create one or use the template below. If you need extra pages, please staple to this submission or simply email. Remember, this is not a resume for a job interview. It is a record of your work-life experience for the purposes of RPL, recognition of prior learning. So enter today's date and the person's full name. And then we've got an opportunity for the candidate to list their employment history in this space as well. There is also an opportunity you can put in there voluntary work that that is not paid. So we have some candidates who might, for example, do voluntary work with organisations where they assist learner drivers build up their logbook hours. That would be a good example. This one here is education, tickets, license, qualifications, that the person can put down that information there. We would also want them to submit this as well. So for example, if someone had a certificate for in training and assessment, we want that submitted. We also want them to give us their USI number, which is your unique student identifier, available from usi.gov.au, and also go on and give Watto Training permission to view the academic transcript of that qualification. Okay, then we go down here to relevant skills. List the most important skills that you have gained from your paid or volunteer work or education that may be needed in your new job role, let's say. So we've got the skills. Down here we've got any special achievements, industry and associations. For example, driver trainers are often part of the Australian Driver Trainers Association or something like that. Down here, hobbies or special interest, and any referees that a person wants to supply as well. So that's the work-life experience template, and confirming if a person already has a resume or a CV, that would be acceptable as well. The next document they need to fill as part of the RPL kit is the knowledge, skill, experience candidate questions. This is just again to assist us to get a snapshot of the candidate's knowledge, skills and abilities. Number one, what sort of heavy vehicle license do you hold or have held it for a minimum of 12 months? So for example, if I've currently got a heavy combination license and I get a multi-combination license today, I definitely won't be able to instruct in that class for at least 12 months. So if a person wants to be a driver trainer, they've got to have held that heavy vehicle license for a period of 12 months. If there's any suspensions or anything along the way, that can have an impact on that 12-month period. So they would need to go to the Transport Department to confirm that. Next, we've got number two. What class of heavy vehicle license do you want to be qualified for? 3, outline for us the frequency of heavy vehicle driving you do. For example, 8 hours per week or 8 hours per month, or haven't driven for 6 months. Excuse me. Some people get a little rusty with their driving. It's critical that the person can actually drive when they turn up to do the course. It will incur additional fees and further training if the person is not up to standard in any area. Number 4, outline the main forms of heavy vehicle driving that you have done: dump truck, courier, agitator, etc. 5A, do you own or have access to a heavy vehicle? If so, what type of heavy vehicle is it? We have done driver training courses in fleet vehicles, for example, and private vehicles. 5B, do you have access to a heavy vehicle via a driving school or a company? Number 6, describe your heavy vehicle driving experience level. If difficult to describe, rate it out of 10, 10 being the highest. Number 7, describe your current heavy vehicle driving standard. If difficult to describe, rate it out of 10. Number 8, describe your current heavy vehicle teaching training experience level. So if you've got 20 years of driver training experience, that would rate quite highly. But if you've just, taught one person for an hour, that wouldn't be seen to be very substantial. Number 9, describe your current heavy vehicle teaching training standard. So this one's about experience level, but this one here is about the actual standard of it. Okay, number 10, describe your current people skills as listed below. If difficult to rate, rate it out of 10. If difficult to describe, rate it out of 10, 10 being the very high standard. So sense of humor, that is a person's ability to appreciate humor. B, empathy, that is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. C, Conflict resolution, that is, conflict resolution is a way for two or more parties to find a peaceful solution to a disagreement among them. D, patience, that is, the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, problems, or suffering without becoming annoyed or anxious. E, tolerance, that is, the ability or willingness to tolerate the existence of opinions or behaviors that one dislikes or disagrees with. 11, why do you want to be a heavy vehicle trainer? 12, describe your standard of the following key skills as listed below. If difficult to describe, rate it out of 10. Reading, writing, speaking skills, computer skills. People need to be able to send and receive emails, read them, download files, look up things on Google, and watch YouTube videos, etc. 13, the assignments and learning resources will be emailed to you. Are you able to download them at home? 14, I've missed a bit. If you want to handwrite your answers, you can, but you will have to arrange for your own printing of the assignments. This course is much easier if you do the assignments on a computer. 14A, describe the standard of your double clutching skills if HR, HC, or MC. If difficult to describe, rate it out of 10. Now, double clutching may not be relevant for your situation. I need to know that because we charge fees for a road ranger assessment. So if you're only interested in automatic, then we won't do that and we won't charge you for it. 14B, when was the last time you doubled the clutch in a heavy vehicle? 14C, is doubling the clutch in a heavy vehicle critical to your job role? So we know that, again, there are a lot of automatic vehicles in the market now. So someone might have an open license, but they may not want it or drive it. Or if they're part of a company that only has automatic vehicles, e.g. some bus companies, then they may only be interested in you being qualified that as a fleet trainer anyway. Okay, 15A, HCMC candidates, describe the standard of your reversing A or A and B trailers, truck and dog out of 10. 15B, HCMC candidates, when was the last time you reversed an A trailer, A and B trailer, truck and dog? 15C, is reversing an A trailer, A and B trailer, truck and dog critical to your job role? And then this is basically what I was explaining about the driving standard. If doubling the clutch or reversing a semi-trailer or truck or dog is critical to your training and assessment role, please make sure your skills are up to standard before commencing the course. The prices quoted do not factor in refresher training. So if you can't reverse a trailer or change gears, etc., please go and get some practice so you are ready for assessment when you come to us. If you cannot perform the basic driving tasks, the assessor will not be able to assess you under the fee structure. You will either need to settle for a lower class of vehicle, you can always come back and be reassessed in the future, or pay for refresher training. You can pay a driving school to do that, or you can go back to your fleet, then come back and be reassessed. This policy is absolutely critical to the successful delivery of the course. This is a course on how to train and assess heavy vehicles, not a learn to drive course. Okay, now we'll just shut that document. I've just fixed up that little spelling error I found. Okay, the next one is your self-assessment. So this is you rating yourself 0, 1, 2, 3, with the opportunity to supply evidence as well. 0 is no relevant experience, 1 is minimal experience, 2 is moderate experience, and 3 is significant experience. So let's go to the first one. Teaching training experience. Do you possess the skills and knowledge required to conduct individual and group instruction and demonstrate work skills using existing learning resources in a safe and comfortable learning environment? So you may be a workplace trainer, so you might rate yourself up here as a 3. Or you might be a car instructor becoming a truck instructor. So again, it might not be specifically in the truck that you instruct, but this is actually asking here about your teaching training experience. So can you actually teach and train? Okay, next one, experience in customer service skills. We do get a lot of people from a customer service background. They normally make very good instructors because they have generally good communication skills, good people skills, good listening skills, and they're able to assist in meeting the needs of the client because they're used to doing it in their job. So it's a very important one for us to investigate. So the skills and knowledge required to apply routine customer service skills in accordance with workplace standards and procedures. It includes dealing with customer inquiries, monitoring customer satisfaction, and taking appropriate action to satisfy customer needs. So if you're working at a bus company and you deal with a lot of passengers and have to not only look after the passengers with safe driving, but deal with some of the needs that they may come or problems that they might have, you might want to supply that. Now, if you've already outlined in your resume, that's one of your job roles, you would just put in the supporting evidence here, see resume for job description or anything. You don't have to write everything the same multiple times. I mean, some people copy and paste. That's another way of doing it without having to reinvent the wheel. This one, experience with workplace health and safety, the skills and knowledge required to follow and apply work health and safety WHS procedures when carrying out work activities in compliance with the relevant work health and safety regulations and procedures. So if you've been a workplace health and safety officer or you have a certificate in workplace health and safety, again, you may rate yourself 3 and then might put the information in here. Okay, the next one, experience in designing, learning, and training programs. Normally, people who've done the TAE course have done the unit in this, which is the learning program design unit. They would often put that evidence down referring to their certificate. Not many people actually have this actual experience of designing, learning, and training programs. School teachers would be a category of people who have often done that, however. Maybe workplace trainers as well. Okay, next one, experience in the transport industry. So here we're looking at people, taxi drivers, truck drivers, bus drivers, courier drivers, the skills and knowledge required to complete workplace induction procedures when commencing work in the transport and logistics industry in accordance with regulatory requirements and operational policies and procedures. Okay, next one, experience at developing safe, heavy driving behaviours and others. This one pops up with fleet trainers. So quite often we'll get people who do informal training in-house. So for example, I might try and get a job at a transport company and I might go in there and the company might say, look, go out for a half an hour drive with a certain staff member, and that might be an experienced staff member who is known to be a high standard driver and also uphold the values of the transport company, and I go out with them and they do an assessment on me. Now, they may not actually have a form that they fill out or some sort of an app that they might fill out about my driving performance. There might not be a specific driving circuit that we go on or any specific tasks. It might just be an informal assessment where we go for a drive and we come back and they let the manager know whether I can drive or not to the standard. So that person would, if I'm doing any mentoring in-house or coaching, but I don't have any paper trail to show for it, then this is normally an example of a person who is used to developing safe driving behaviours in others, but needs to acquire the formal documentation to prove it. So this one, the skills and knowledge required to teach learner drivers from diverse backgrounds how to develop, monitor, and maintain safe, that should be heavy vehicle driving behaviours. Just to fix that while we're right. This includes recognising and dealing with behavioural barriers to learning, developing vehicle operation and control skills, and interpreting and applying regulatory requirements and road law expertise. Okay, next one. Knowledge and application of transport regulation compliance systems. Again, you find a lot of fleet trainers, whether they're informally qualified or not, have this one. The skills and knowledge required to implement and supervise transport regulations compliance systems within the transport and logistics industry. It includes identifying and interpreting relevant regulations, carrying out operations that comply with transport regulations, and reviewing operation process. So you'd find people who do with the national heavy vehicle laws would be in that space. Okay. Experience at conducting heavy vehicle learner driver training. This is one that people who have taught learners how to drive often have. And again, I can see I've made an error and got a car in there. I'll just fix that up for heavy vehicle. So we do a few running repairs. Okay. The skills and knowledge required to teach learner drivers from diverse background how to prepare, explain, demonstrate, monitor, and maintain safe heavy vehicle driving skills. It includes preparing a learner for driving, explaining driver training outcomes, demonstrating required skills, monitoring and maintaining safe driving skills, interpreting and applying road rules, debriefing learner driver, identifying hazardous situations, and implementing contingency plans. Unless people are teaching a lot of learners, they really haven't done that one. So fleet trainers sometimes teach learners and sometimes don't. So it just depends on the person's situation. This one here is straight up driving skills, the skills and knowledge required for higher order safe driving. That includes knowledge about hazard perception, risk control, and safe driving behaviour, judgment, decision making, and multitasking across a range of vehicles and driving situations. Experience at working in socially diverse environments. The skills and knowledge required to apply cultural awareness, communication principles, and problem-solving techniques to facilitate working in a socially diverse environment. This is done in accordance with workplace procedures, relevant anti-discrimination and equal opportunity regulations. This includes communicating with customers and colleagues from diverse backgrounds and dealing with cross-cultural misunderstanding. So again, people would think about what job they've been in, if they deal with the general public or if they deal with any specific field that they're working in. And again, we would assess that as on a case-by-case basis. Okay, experience at maintaining business records, the skills and knowledge required to maintain records of a business or record system in good order on a day-to-day basis. Again, fleet managers often do this with staff training. That could be in a trucking company or in a bus company or a school or some sort of organisation like that. Knowledge and application of fatigue management strategies. We do get quite a few people who have done fatigue units of competency. So again, they often get submitted during this. Some companies have fatigue management policies that will be submitted as part of the evidence as well. This unit involves the skills and knowledge required to apply fatigue management strategies within the transport and logistics industry. Work is undertaken in compliance with relevant legislation, regulations, codes, and guidelines. It includes identifying and acting on signs of fatigue and implementing appropriate strategies to minimize fatigue during work activities, in particular when operating equipment, trains, vehicles, load shifting equipment, marine vessels, and aircraft. Our field is specifically to do with road transport. However, we're aware that there are a lot of people who deal, for example, if you're a pilot or something like that, that you still have to deal with fatigue management. Okay, so that's the self-assessment as part of the kit. This one here is about credit transfer. What is credit transfer? It is defined in the AQF as a process that provides students with agreed and consistent credit outcomes for components of a qualification based on identified equivalence in content and learning outcomes between matched qualifications. Providing credit for previous studies is not recognition of prior learning. RPL is an assessment-only pathway of determining the competence of a person, while providing credit is recognizing the equivalence in content and learning outcomes between different types of learning and or qualifications previously undertaken and completed successfully. So what we're looking for here is submission of actual qualifications. So if this is a good example here. So this one here, TAE DEL 301, that's part of the TAE 40116 qualification. If someone had actually done a qualification that has units that directly match all of these ones I've highlighted in yellow, then we would look at that for credit transfer. And again, as I said earlier, we would look for verification on the USI transcript of that particular student. So you'd go through each of those. So this is not RPL, e.g. I was a bank manager, I've done heaps of this. This is actually if you've held that unit of competency as such. Okay, so that's that one there. Next one. This one here is just a good guide for me in terms of a self-assessment of estimated hours attributed to each unit. Because often when I look through at each of the units in this course and see how long people have been managing that particular unit for. That's helps me with my degree of RPL we often give for something. So for example, if someone has 20 years customer service experience in their work, that's a significant piece of information. If someone, for example, has done a lot of training, so they might say, look, I've been a school teacher for 20 years, or I've worked in TAFE for 20 years, they would record that here. So here we're looking for just an estimation of how much time they've spent on each of these fields here. And if there's not, we just put 0. And again, that itself gives me information. And then we have the truck units down here as well. You might have someone who might have a multi-combination license, but they've spent 20 years driving heavy rigid. So this might be 0, even though they've got that license, and this might be 20 here because that's when they've done most of their driving. Again, really valuable information for us. Okay, and this final one here that we're going to look at is the third-party report. This is a pretty stock standard document in RTOs, and what this does is it gives the opportunity for the candidate to find someone, it could be a work supervisor or someone like that, or a colleague, who could fill this out and verify that the person has skills that they have demonstrated in the workplace of a certain standard. So this will look familiar. Teaching and training, workplace health and safety, designing learning programs, customer service, etc. All it's asking is the third party person to rank out of 3 the rating that they would give that particular person. So if it's 1, it's an area of strength. Well done. If it's 2, it's adequate, meets expectations. 3, area of weakness, below expectations or not applicable. So, for example, if I work at a transport company and I'm the workplace health and safety officer, I might ask my supervisor to fill this out, and they would more than likely put down a 1 for that because I'm a workplace health and safety supervisor. However, if I'm not working in any field to do with training at all, I might have no experience at designing learning programs, so my supervisor might give me a 3. So this is a valuable document for us to see that someone's had verification from a workplace supervisor or someone like that for a third-party report. This has been Brendan for Watto Training, and if you have any questions or concerns, please contact me regarding your RPL kit. Hopefully this has helped you get an idea of what we're looking for and how we're doing it. And all the best with your RPL application. It's worth the trouble to do so that we can recognize your prior knowledge, skills, and experience.